I was not expecting that at all.
Life happens.
Right.
And we're not in control. It's never about the addiction. It's about we have lost connection.
If I just have these great jobs, if I have all this money, then I'll be happy.
They're not living their lives how I think they should.
How may I serve? Or another way to say that is, what's up? I am so excited to be here with you today. Today, for our conscious conversation, we have Amanda Russell, who's from the Maitreya Loving Kindness Tour. And I've had the pleasure this past weekend of co-managing the Relic Tour in Fairfield, Iowa with Amanda. And we have the unique, incredible, inspired, oh my goodness, it's really such an honor to have not only Amanda staying in our household, but also we have the relics of the Masters. And so, Amanda, why don't you go ahead and give us a Cliff Notes version of what are the relics and also how they came to be as far as being on tour?
Okay, so the relics, well, first we'll start. The relics started on tour in 2001, and they've been traveling throughout the world for about 15 years now, which is really incredible. And they came to be because the owner of this collection is Lama Thupten Zopa Rinpoche, and he wanted to share this collection with the world. At one point, we had started touring simply to help to fundraise to build a statue called the Maitreya statue in Kushinagar, India, and that still is being built. It's supposed to be a 20-story statue of Maitreya, which is a symbolic of loving kindness. However, after the tour was touring for about 5 or 6 years, we realized the benefit of these relics and the experience that people were having was so profound. So we shared the stories with Lama Zopa, we shared people's experiences, the open-heartedness, this warmth and loving kindness just penetrating through the people and into the communities, bringing this sense of unity, just absolutely incredible stories. And Lama Zopa thought, okay, well, as long as people are inspired by these to develop qualities of love, compassion, kindness, unity, and it's helping sentient beings, helping people and animals, because we have so many pets come, we will allow these to continue to travel as long as people want them. So we became the Maitreya Loving Kindness Tour, and again, just sharing these relics all over the world. 67 countries and over 3 million people have viewed the relics, so quite incredible.
It is phenomenal. So go ahead, if you'd be so kind, and to back up a little bit. What is a relic?
So the relics, these particular relics, we do have historical relics of Buddha Shakyamuni. They're 2,500 years old,
And that's the Buddha who is most well known to have become enlightened under the
Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya. Yes, Gautama Buddha. So it's so absolutely amazing, because the relics are the essence of the enlightened mind. They hold the qualities of these great teachers. So if some people understand what Buddhism is all about, it's really developing the mind to become completely selfless, to really realize how everything truly exists and that it is interconnected. So we look and reflect in our own self instead of taking and putting that on the outside world and blaming others for everything around us. We really try to develop our own mind. How do we react? Because that's the only thing we really have control of. So all of these great meditators spent their lives honing these qualities, really honing these qualities, and in that they developed their consciousness in a way that was extremely profound, and the essence of unconditional love is what manifested in that practice. So over 10,000 hours of meditation, I mean many, many, many hours. And once the great masters pass away, those spiritual attainments have changed their body structure, their cellular structure, their mental structure. Everything is completely transformed, and in doing that, once the body goes into the cremation or into the fire, all of their spiritual attainments then crystallize to form these relics. So they say the essence of what we call bodhicitta in Buddhism, which is great wisdom and great compassion, are encapsulated in these relics. And as we know in science, energy does not die, it continues on. And so this energy is what's emitted from the relics, and they connect with people's hearts. So it's nothing outside of us. It's not like we're going and feeling something that they've created and we're receiving it. It's connecting with our purest potential. And we innately have this pure Buddha nature, we call it, or pure loving kindness in our heart. And we don't experience anything we haven't created. So that purest love is amplified in the presence of the masters because that energy is amplified with the relics.
I love how you've just worded it, because essentially, and how I personally, again and again and again, have experienced the masters, is this ability to connect with myself, like the nature of myself, this presence of, it's like a stream of clarity, it's this stream, these energetic waves. And I've also had the great honor and the blessing to be able to bless others with the stupa containing Shakti Muni Buddha's relics in there, and to up front, close and personal, see the impact of people is honestly unbelievable.
Yes.
Like, it is so beyond words.
It really is.
Here you are impacting somebody and just having a front row seat to their hearts being broken wide open, or being able to touch a grief or a stuck emotion that they've been denying, and yet it's brought to the light to be able to transcend and transform the consciousness.
Yes.
So people can experience being a greater aspect of themselves without the baggage.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's alignment with the truth. Yeah.
Excellent. Really good way to put it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So when you've gone through with the relics, as far as you're traveling with them on airplanes, and you put them through the X-ray machine, if I'm not mistaken, you had shared that they actually show up as crystals.
They do. They show up, they register as crystals. And it's really quite amazing because sometimes we go through and there's no questions asked, which is profound because here we are with this entire bag. I mean, you can see here they're in all of these cases, so they show up individually as a picture and they look at them, and sometimes they just allow us to pass, which I find extraordinary because it's such an interesting case of luggage. Something I'm sure they do not see every day.
Not a lot of baggage, but it is luggage.
Yeah. So they see all these, and sometimes they have us open them, and that is even more amazing because these officers, they're trained in a different way of being alert to abnormal activity. And they are usually very strict and like, what is this? And there's a rigidity with them in their line of work, and that's how they have to be. But when we go and we open the case, it's just like, here we go, we open the relics, we explain. They just, all of a sudden, they just feel this energy, and it's almost like they take over. The relics are so powerful, they have that power. And you watch the somatics of these officers completely transform. So I know it's hard to believe, but I've watched it with my own eyes, so I don't need any proof. Like for myself, it's been like, I get it, I've watched them, and they even sometimes are like, oh, can I take pictures so that I can show my family, like what came through the airport this morning? Oh, of course, So it's really amazing the power of these masters, and they're blessing everybody that sees them when we're walking by places, when we're carrying the bags through cities, when we're driving through people. The intention is visualizing all of this energy flowing out of them, which it is anyways without the visualization. But when we as people come together, or even the custodians, managers, visualize this amplified, it's actually helping to spread that loving kindness energy, because we're also connecting with it, and we are in this conscious field, in this plane, as a human being, and so we're just spreading that out. But they really do it on their own. We were going over the border one time from Canada into the United States, and I was driving with a woman that was, she's experienced on the tour. So we were sitting there, we're doing Tara mantras, and behind us there's about 5 security guards. They're going around people's car, they're stuffing their hand up people's car pipes, they're opening up the doors, they've got the dogs, and it's like, okay, here we go. Like, we're going to have to explain, we're a big van, we're on tour, we've got all these relics. I mean, so it's definitely, going over the borders can be a little bit sticky, but the funny thing is we have this life-size Maitreya statue in our back seat. It's wrapped up with a cloak, its face is wrapped up with a kata, the hands are wrapped up. It looks like a life-size human just wrapped up, sitting in the back. And the security guards had come up to our window, and they just say, "Who's in the back?" Because they can see the silhouette of this being. And my coworker just looks and says, "Oh, it's the Buddha." And they're like, "Okay," and they just continued on, So I just thought, wow, okay, they didn't have to open the door. That could have been a person here. Other people, their windows aren't tinted. You can see right in the car. They're making them get out. So it's just like, these aren't the droids you're looking for, It's the power of the Masters. It's incredible.
It really is incredible. I also want to acknowledge, because I so deeply appreciate that currently there are studies, Harvard, Yale, different places that have studied consciousness of the Dalai Lama, of different lamas and people who have put in the 10,000 hours plus to become an expert. The physical capacity of the mind actually changes. It's a diminishing of the places where the fear elements are stored, and I just so appreciate that.
Yes, it is. And it is just more than just sitting and breath work. Like, in this path, in their particular path, there's a certain protocol that they follow. So some people can sit and meditate and go, what we can hone single-pointed concentration, and that's wonderful. But there is also another side of that, and that aspect is the wisdom aspect. So there is a lot of analytical meditation where we really look at our emotions that are coming up. We look at our fears, and we try to go into them very deeply, on such a deep level. It's much more profound than, just sitting to meditate, So it is there is a very particular way that they attain these realizations, and it isn't an easy thing at all. It's very difficult. I tried to mimic that in some of my own experiences, obviously just by following the guidance of the teachings. And when I did it myself and doing these meditations, I just thought, it's so incredible to me that they have developed their mind in this way. I understand the effort. It is effort. It is work. It is really meticulously looking at yourself, and it's amazing.
Doing this work is work.
Yeah.
And the only way through it is through it. We can only make new choices through a greater understanding of awareness. And, this exploration of work is such a gift. But it does require a willingness for us to look at and really be honest. Where are my blocks? Where are my emotional charges that I'm bringing into my experience called life? And a lot of times people would rather avoid, pretend, or deny. But I love that at the actual relic tours, watching people who are often come in very stoic, very analytical from the mind, and then all of a sudden, it's often just like when you see a baby, you can be very stoic, and then the baby just like, and people transform. And I love that different people come to the tour from a standpoint of, I want to see the history. And it is amazing history, but you can't help but be impacted by whether you're witnessing others or really moving into your own experience of transformation. During a tour that we hosted here in Des Moines, Iowa 3 years ago, we had the pleasure of having some monks from Cambodia who didn't really speak English. And their story was just phenomenal because they ended up, we were closing up shop. You were there as manager.
Yes.
And as he went around the table, just recognizing his lineage and just being able to do prostrations. And when he came back over, I offered a blessing to him and he received one, which was just extraordinary gift. And he, afterwards, he just beamed and he said, "I am so happy. I am so happy.
Yeah.
I am so happy." And you know, that really is the essence of it all. It really helps us to connect in with our hearts through this pure consciousness. So let's talk a little bit more about the cremation process. As after the masters die, they're put in and they're cremated, and then you go through the ashes.
Yes, the monks of the teacher will go through and sift out the relics that have formed in the ashes themselves.
Got it.
Yes.
And then that is referred to as ring cell.
This is true.
And then the ring cell is distributed to other masters and teachers or devotees.
Yes.
Or
Yes,
along
closest disciples usually. If there are many relics based on the attendant of the master, they can delegate. Like Tenzin Zopa was the attendant of Geshe Lama Konchog, and he is very generous with Geshe Lama Konchog's relics. So many of Geshe Lama Konchog's main students received relics as they requested them. So that was really special. And it depends, you know, some of these are very rare relics and they are very old. For instance, there's one on here of Padmasambhava, and there at one time was only 3 of those. Now they do multiply, they do grow. This one in our collection has not multiplied. We have the one, we've had the one. However, Lama Zopa has the other ones, and I've heard that they are multiplying now. So I think that's amazing, and I guess it just has to do with the sacredness and the act of devotion toward the relics. So, you know, if they're at the monastery and the monks there are living in the vows and living in the practice and paying homage and doing that, I think they're more likely to receive that, and the relics are multiplied in that way. There is one particular on here. It's the blood relic of Shakyamuni Buddha. It was counted in 2002, I think, or 2004. There was 15. I did a recount of that myself in 2013, and there was 57. So from 15 to 57. So those ones have multiplied since we last counted them, or through the years. So really quite incredible. And also, backing up to your story about the monk in Cambodia, the happiness also, I mean, obviously coming from the relic energy, but just the fact he understands the rarity.
Speak
to
that.
The rarity of being able to be in the presence of these relics it's profound. Normally in Cambodia, yes, they have relics. Many masters have relics. They keep them for themselves in a private collection. Or in Sri Lanka, there's a famous tooth relic many people all over the world go to see. And it's, you know, millions of people gather. They open it once every certain amount of years. And it's literally way up on the top of the hill. Nobody goes to the top of the hill, but the relic is on the top of the hill. It's taken out in the temple, and everybody pays homage from below. So nobody actually sees the physical relic. A lot of these relics were salvaged from Tibet, and they were taken over during the invasion. And many masters were given relics by their closest disciples. Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa collected many throughout their lifetime, and it's just amazing and incredible. Now there are not enough what we call reliquariums or stupas to house all of the ones that came out of Tibet. So they're just loose relics, and many masters have them in their temples. So we thought, well, why not benefit sentient beings by sharing it? It's like the pilgrimage is really coming to us. Now, when we go on pilgrimage all the way to Asia, it is a rough and tough trip. It is like your karma's manifesting. I can know from my own experience. Okay, I did go on pilgrimage in the Himalayas, so it's like it's you trek, you walk, you are lack of water, lack of food, lack of supplies. You have the supplies, things happen, sickness happens, rough circumstances, whatever it is that's manifesting for you to get to this holy object. It's just absolutely incredible. And here we have it. It's like, oh, we're coming to your city. All you have to do is show up. However, people that do host or that are coming sometimes do face obstacles. But it's much, I think, much easier and much more, it's easier for them to get to us. I mean, we're in a city. You're driving on a road in a car that's paved. I mean, it's completely different.
Well, I also want to acknowledge, just like what you're saying is, people will, okay, let's go to the other side of the world and let's do these adventure trekking, if you will, to find this temple that has one tiny little relic in that you don't even get to see.
Right.
And here is a collection between the masters that are in the carrier, as well as all of these, the sampling of the masters. And there's 46 masters here that are on display.
And over 3,000 relics. This case alone, this is the Arhats, that has over 3,000 relics. I counted them myself. Took me like 3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
And those two have expanded in inventory, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
those have expanded in inventory also. That's true. Yes.
So, unbelievable living creation of expansion.
Yeah, and then, one thing I just want to touch is it's really the qualities, it's the essence, it's transcending, transforming, and looking at our own stuff and saying, I own this. So it's not like, you come in, you feel this experience, your heart opens, usually you experience some emotions, you sometimes have a memory of something you've buried that you thought maybe went away or maybe I've forgiven. But it's not always the case. We bury it on a cellular level, which they even say in Western medicine, Eastern medicine, that hidden emotions is what manifests disease, right? So they say it all lives in our cells. So it's like when people can clear these things and really face them and find a way to really authentically forgive others, forgive themselves. Let go of the anger, the attachment, the jealousy, the pride, whatever it is, and really look into it, it helps to free their heart, to be able to open up to that loving kindness, to fill that space with love and really nurture that and say, like, okay, we've all made mistakes. We all, it's not personal. And really just take ownership of that. And that's slowly developing the consciousness. And like I said, the masters go into techniques that are much more profound, like really cutting through. But on just a little bit helps.
Right.
Just that little bit is freeing. We were in Mexico and there was a woman that was in her late 50s and she had come in and said she knew nothing about the relics. It's primarily Catholic there. We're in Oaxaca, which is an indigenous culture. It was the first time that we had brought the relics there. And she shared with my coworker, I thought of this situation that I have not thought about in over 25 years. She had been with somebody in her life, in her young teens, that she thought she was going to marry. That person ended up with her sister and marrying her. The family was super happy about it. And she just held this deep sadness, resentment, everything. The relationship with her mother and father had diminished. The relationship, obviously, with her sister had diminished. And this man, and she just said, I feel inspired for the first time in over 25 years to reach out to them and just ask for forgiveness. And she did. And she came back to the event. We were there for 10 days and said, I called them. I reached out and now I want to call my mother. And I mean, they were crying. The family was crying. Everyone was happy. And it was like, wow, she really got, and it's just that. You never know what's going to manifest for each individual. We were in Phoenix, Arizona this year. There was a young boy that was about 5 years old. He was so enthusiastic. He loved the relics. He's sitting there bowing. I have pictures of him doing the Buddha bath over and over again, going around and around, receiving the blessings over and over. his mother came and said, "Oh my God, is it okay that he's going around like this and going for many blessings?" I said, "Of course. That's what, get as many as you want." So finally, after watching him for a couple hours, I said to him, "What's your favorite part about this exhibition?" He's 5. And he says to me, getting the blessings and receiving the wisdom. And I was like, okay. I was not expecting that at all. I thought whatever's happening for him is transformational. I mean, it was just so cute.
He gets it.
And it was like, how does this little being, come up with those words and that? It was his first time seeing them. He had been blessed in the womb by the relics.
Wow.
So I thought that was incredible. I just thought, wow, amazing, amazing. So many stories like that. And even with animals, we went to a rescue farm in California, and it was horses that work with kids that are autistic, and then they have also dogs there. So everyone brought their pets that are rescue pets, and they work, with blind people, and they're very attentive, so they've been trained by command. So the animals get there, and they're, listening to every command. They're watching, observing what's going on, and you can just see this incredible, attendance to their owner. And they're never really relaxed, the animals.
Right.
They're always working, So it's incredible for them. So we're happy to bring the relics to bless the animals too. Lama Zopa loves animals. And so the animals go around the relics. We set up a table and we blessed each animal. And then it's so funny. Afterwards, everyone's talking, the owners are so happy, the pets seem happy, the owners are all talking in a circle, and all the animals are just kind of lounge. They're just laying there. And I have pictures of it. So I have them before when they show up and they're super attentive, and then at the end they're just hey, yeah, that was good, that blessing. Whew, I feel so, and it's just interesting. It really touches their heart. So you can see in the somatics even of the animals so beautifully.
Even this last weekend, I love asking the children what they experience after they receive the blessing.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one little girl who I asked her, "Did you notice anything?" And to begin with, she said no. And then I asked her, how do you feel? How did you feel? What was the feeling? And she immediately responded, "Love."
Yes.
And I've had another little boy, he shared that he experienced bliss. It's really, the word bliss. Huh?
Yeah.
Excellent. And it was just so beautiful. And there was this one elderly gentleman, very stoic in nature, you could tell, just very proper, and very much in his head, if you will, not necessarily knowing how to live his life through his heart. And so I asked him, I touched him on the shoulder and I said, "Did you notice anything after you received your blessing?" Because I was actually not offering blessings at that time. So he was coming down the aisle. And I said, "Can I ask you, did you notice anything when you received your blessing?" And he looked at me and he said, "Peace."
Wow.
Oh, and that is just such an incredible gift. And the clearing of the mind and the monkey mind. And we don't even realize in our humanity that it's possible to have a new experience, because we're like the fish in the water, and that's the only experience we know. Yeah. And so what an amazing gift of the tour and the Masters to be able to share and offer that.
It's true.
To thousands and thousands of people.
Millions
and millions of people. Absolutely.
Yeah. And again, it's rare. Not everybody will get this opportunity. There's 7 billion people in the world, and if you have that opportunity, or they come to your city or around you, it's worth going. I mean, it's absolutely life-changing, and I speak from my own experience, life-changing. It's just absolutely incredible.
Would you be so kind, Amanda, to share a little bit more about what was your experience, like how you even got introduced to the relics, and like, you know, your path from there to here? Like, what happened?
So it was 2011. 2011.
Okay, wow.
It was 2011. I, at that point, was doing meditation on my own and focused in a healing arts degree, massage therapy. And I was developing my meditation practice and really felt like I really need something to get deeper. So I decided to go to a local center called Land of Medicine Buddha in Santa Cruz, California, and ask if I could live there and just participate and develop my meditation. And they said, you know, I'm sorry, your application looks great, but we are so busy. We have this event coming up. It will be about 3 months before we even get a chance. Summer's our busy season. We'll get back to you. And I thought, okay. So we hung up the phone. I called there. And we hung up, and I went outside my house at the time, and I just thought, I'm not satisfied with that at all. So I called them back, and I said, can I just volunteer for this event coming up and just come in and meet the community and see if it's something I want to explore? And they said, yeah, sure, come on over. You can help us set up chairs. I thought, whatever, I'll go. So I went to go set up chairs, and I got there on Friday because the event there is Saturday, Sunday. They don't do the Friday opening. And I get there, and they say, oh, the chairs are set up. They sort of forgot I was coming. And then the manager looks at me, and he says, oh, I got a job for you. Come with me. So we walk up to the wish-fulfilling temple. And he said, are you familiar with Buddhist relics? And I said, no, I have no idea. I had no idea what a relic was, didn't understand the essence at all. And he ended up putting me with the two managers at the time, which were Christian and Daniel. And I worked with them. I did the flower arrangements. We prepared the entire altar. I still hadn't seen the relics yet, but I thought, oh, this is amazing. And then later that evening, they put the relics out. And I volunteered. I did the Buddha bath. I showed people the Sangata Sutra that you write in gold. I wrote in that book so many times, making strong aspirations, and I didn't really know what this was. I just felt so happy. I was like, I didn't want to leave, and so I stayed there, and then I thought it was a lot of work. So that whole day I stayed from beginning till end, volunteering, going around. And for some reason, I couldn't pronounce any of the names because they're all in Sanskrit. So I just thought, if I just learn one of these names. So I bow to one. And at first I thought, why are all these people bowing? Like, what is a bow? And I then later realized that bowing is a form of letting go of your ego. Because the first thing the I wants to do is say, who am I bowing to? I'm not bowing to any, so I realized this later. But anyways, before I even learned that, I bowed. I just did it, and then I thought, I'll learn one, Shakyamuni Buddha. And I Shakyamuni, and not even then did I know that was the historical Buddha. That's how new I was, okay? So I did the bow, and then I thought after Saturday night, okay, well that was good, that was a lot of work. I don't think I'll go back tomorrow. Well, Sunday morning comes, I find myself up, getting ready, making my tea, and I'm on my way to the Buddha Relics, So on my way back, I stay the entire day again, do all the work. There's like thousands of people. And I had the most profound experience later when I went home after that and just reflected on the weekend and sat with it and meditated. And I thought to myself, what was that? I need to find out more. So, I didn't find out much more. It was the manager of that place. I just held the experience in my heart, but a few days later, the manager of that place called and said, would you like to move into Land of Medicine Buddha? A place has opened up. I moved in. I started studying Buddhist philosophy. It completely changed my life to take ownership of my stuff. It was just so freeing, and so I thought my whole life had changed. I decided to email the director of this tour and thank her because this was my opening. The relics were the opening to freeing my mind and freeing my heart. And I shared with her my experience, and about 6 months after that, she asked me in an email, based on a recommendation from the manager, Christian, said like I was really good at what I was doing and helping them. She said, would you be so kind to manage this exhibition? So it was just about a year later that I actually met the Relics, met the Dharma, that I started touring with this exhibition, and I learned a great deal more being with the Masters. I mean, even in the care of putting them in the cases and the details, it was like I had to focus my mind, and my mind really became like it slows down. I can't rush to put these out. These are precious objects. So it's also, patience with all the people coming through and exemplifying and being that which they are to all the guests. So it's like I had to hone these qualities, and not even had to, it just happened naturally. They so much inspired me. I wanted to share how much the love came naturally, and I wanted to share that with so many people. So when I was talking with people, it came from the heart. So many times it's the best thing I've ever done. It's the best experience I've ever had, and I've met the most beautiful and best friends I've ever had being on the tour.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's my story.
That is excellent. Most awesome. So how did you even get involved in wanting to find meditation? So many people today, they want something and they don't know what it is. So whether they go to college or whether I want this relationship, this will be my answer. Or I want this home or this car or this circumstance in my life. Then it'll be okay. What was your experience in spirituality, if you will, finding you?
I think it had to come, the lessons are learned the hard way.
Yeah.
So I spent, when I was 17, I went to college. I graduated high school a year early. I was always very independent. I wanted to learn. I wanted to be able to help others, help my family, help the world. Didn't know how, went into the world, and got my ass kicked. Really, I just fell over and over again, trying to blame everything outside of me, oh, this isn't working because that did that, and this job isn't working because of this person, that. I suffered so much. I went from city to city. I traveled all over. I lived in Italy. I lived in North Carolina. I lived in the Virgin Islands. I lived everywhere, trying to find myself and trying to find it outside of me. If I just have this nice house, if I just have these great jobs, if I have all this money, then I'll be happy and I'll find it. And nothing at all was fulfilling, and everything kept repeating. All of the circumstances, whether it was the lack, the depression, the relationships that had failed, everything just kept repeating in a pattern. And finally I was like, it just can't be them. It just, it can't be them.
No!
This has to be coming from me.
Personal responsibility? Really?
But I did not learn that until I met the teachings. I met the Masters. I was already going through transition. I said I was going into massage therapy. My teacher was amazing. We started meditation every day. Every class was started with meditation. We did a Taoist meditation of the winding cord into the earth, pulling up the earth energy because of the iron core, then connecting with divinity, pulling that up through the crown chakra, and that meeting in the heart. And we do the breath work and letting go. So every day we would think, okay, in the spiritual garbage can, I throw away everything that's not serving me. Whatever I'm mad about, angry about, upset about, what's not working for me, relationships, whatever, I visualize that it's going in the spiritual garbage can. And my teacher said, there is a rule. You do not go digging in the trash. So once it's there, it's gone. So every day we would work on our stuff in that way, and it really helped. But I realized how much it actually helped my life in taking ownership, and I thought, I need to go deeper. And so I looked at the Hindu tradition and the Buddhist tradition because they are the experienced meditators of the world. And I did a little bit of both. And my calling particularly was in Buddhism. Not to say that other paths are not valid. It's whatever speaks to your heart in this lifetime. There's many pathways to Rome. So it's all going to take you there. It's just really taking ownership of your own stuff and not like just projecting into a book or like, the Bible, the Quran, the teachings, whatever. It has to be experiential. It has to be internalized.
Yes.
It's not just reading a prayer and saying like, may I be a better person. Thank you. No, it's like, how can I be a better person?
Yes.
Can I be more patient? Okay, today my goal is to be more patient with my students, because I was ambassador. So it was like, okay, I need to be very patient with them, and I'm going to do this by this way and focus on my listening skills. So it's attentively being aware of your own emotions, attentively being aware. And that's how you bring meditation into your daily life. It's not just sitting on a cushion and breathing and going through it. It's being in life and being concentrated in what you're doing and who you're engaging with and how you react.
Absolutely.
So that was how I wanted to change. Like, I was tired of suffering, and I think that people don't start to change until they really say, I'm tired of this. I could turn blue in the face. I'll use an example. I'm not going to actually say it. I have certain members of my family that I could see, like, clearly, and best friends, like, you should do this. You should do this. How many times do we do that? You should do this. Or to our son or daughter. They're not going to listen to you. They are on their own journey. It's you. You have to find acceptance for them, for how they are. Stop worrying about them and just take ownership for yourself. How can you love them the way that they are?
Acceptance.
And that's it.
Absolutely.
And let it go. So we spend so much of our time worrying and being upset in life, and it really has nothing to do with them. It has to do with ourselves.
Absolutely.
That's
Bravo.
yeah.
That's excellent. Wow. Very, very powerful. Are there any specific stories that you want to share of any of the masters that you have out? I understand that the profound gift of having all of them here, and as in every one of us as individuals, we've gotten here and we have our own stories. And so Shakti Buddha has his own story in the enlightenment under the tree. But are there any stories with any of the individuals that you want to share, the masters?
I can share if I would love to. I think that a lot of them are very in-depth and profound, and so I'll try to keep it very simplified. And also, in nature, some of these might sound a bit mystical, but if you can open your heart, there is truth to these stories. But anyways, I can share a few. For example, well, first I'll start. We have one of Lama Tsongkhapa, and Lama Tsongkhapa is a very profound master. He was born basically just with the wisdom already within him. So looking at him as an example is like, okay, I got a long way to go. But he basically, his whole life, he dedicated to the Dharma. He was born into a kingdom. He was a prince. He had everything at his feet, just like, Prince Shakyamuni Buddha did. And he said, at a very young age to his parents, I can't stand to see this kingdom suffer. There are people out there. Why can't they be like me? And his parents answered him, well, you're the prince, and this is our situation, and that's theirs. And he was absolutely not satisfied with that. He gave up everything, renounced everything, and decided to practice the Dharma. So he had done millions of prostrations, millions of mandala offerings. He was empowered with many teachers through many different types of teachings, very vast transmissions, and actualized them, which is a lot of work. I mean, it really is single-pointed concentration on these beautiful mandalas that are this intricate detail. And so it's like, when you can get to that level where your mind isn't distracted, and you can actually visualize this particular geometrical figure very in accuracy. And then also on top of that, you have the experiential wisdom of the teachings internalized. It's like, then the consciousness expands, and it's effortless to just have people drawn to you.
Yes.
Because they can feel your power, they can feel your heart. So he had many disciples. Another beautiful story, we have one female on our altar. Her name is Yeshe Sogyal, And just to give you an idea, and this is might be a little far out for some people with the idea of reincarnation, but she was actually in Sukhavati, which is a pure land, and she was asked to come to this realm to help humanity. And she was asked by Guru Rinpoche or Padmasambhava, who we also have, which is known as the second Buddha to come. So she actually came into this world also like as a princess in a kingdom and had good circumstances. And her parents, they didn't know about her previous meeting with Padmasambhava or the nature of her consciousness beforehand. So they wanted her to get married. She was about, I think, between the ages of 9 and 12 or something. And her father wanted to marry her off, and she said, well, I can't practice the Dharma like that. Like, I don't want to be a wife. I want to go be, in the Dharma, and I want to practice and study meditation and develop my consciousness. So just to give you an idea, I mean, even though she's enlightened, she really had to go through, just the ritual of life. Still, she had 2 princes fighting over her. One found her, and then because she refused to go with him, they actually beat her and whipped her. And, she went through a lot of struggle. And here she is. She is a very conscious mind, but she still had karma, what we say karma, to purify in this life. So she was also found and rescued by King Trinzong Densen, and he knew the power of the teachings. Padmasambhava came to him and asked, King Trinzong Densen asked Padmasambhava if he could receive some teachings, and he offered everything, including Yeshe Sogil, to Padmasambhava. So Padmasambhava actually took Yeshe Sogil under his wing and taught her all of the teachings, and in one lifetime she attained enlightenment. So in her lifetime, it wasn't actually just one because she had previous lives, but in the lifetime that she met him, she attained what they call rainbow light body. So that's it's very powerful. So those are just a few of the stories of the masters.
Wow, that's amazing.
They all have biographies, so if you're interested.
They can go to the website, and the website is?
It's MaitreyaRelicTour.com. So if you go to MaitreyaRelicTour.com and you pull up the pictures of the masters, all of them will pull up. Their names are there. If you see one that speaks to you, I really encourage you to look them up, and typically they have a biography, and you'll find out what that teacher practiced, what they did throughout their lives, etc., and it's really quite amazing. And you find some kind of synchronicity with yourself, something that's in alignment when you pick one that's like, ooh, that's the one that's speaking to me, and there's some message for you in that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Amanda, thank you so much. It has been such an incredible adventure, really. Everything from picking you up from the airport a couple of weeks ago, and then within the hour getting a phone call from my niece saying she was in labor. So Amanda and I actually went and helped my niece to deliver her 10-pound, 3-ounce baby boy, healthy baby boy. But it was such an honor to have you in the presence of that experience as well. And really, this entire experience has been one of birth, and also setting up the tour in Fairfield and then taking it down. So the birth, the closure, the death, and just experiencing the whole circle of completion of impermanence, which is certainly a teaching.
Yes.
So I just want to say thank you so much from my heart and my soul. It's been amazing, and I just, I'm so grateful.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me to do this. I'm so happy to be able to share this with so many people. So
excellent. Thank you. Blessings.
Blessings.